Will the king finally be toppled by the Mark III? Only one way to find out. Hello and thank you for clicking on this video where I'll be sharing my experience on TIA Audio's successor to one of the most popular IEMs in the audiophile world today, the TIA Audio Monarch Mark III. This is a $999 IEM, I mean just call it 1000, that has 2 dynamic drivers, 6 BA and 2 ESD drivers per side. Critical rated the Monarch Mark II as his #1 spot in his IEM ranking, so will the Mark III potentially take that spot away? Let's find out, but before I begin, if you've been enjoying my content, please do consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and if you're interested in this product, I'll leave a link in the description on where you can find it, but I paid for this IEM with my own money, so another big hole in my bank account, so your support will be greatly appreciated. Diminishing returns aside, let's talk about accessories. For the unboxing, it comes with this huge box, and opening that box, you'll be greeted with the IEMs and the TIA Audio case. The case itself is the same as what you'd get with the Monarch Mark II. It's large, not as rigid as I like it to be, but it has a pouch to store all your items, and I honestly use this case a lot. For accessories, it comes with 2 sets of interchangeable ear tips, 1 set of silicone and 1 set of foam ear tips, a cleaning cloth with TIA Audio's logo, and of course the IEMs themselves and the cable. And they've changed the cable for the Mark III and it looks decent with the shimmery brown, though I kinda wished it was black to go with the IEM. It's a little on the softer side, though the cable doesn't maintain its shape, but it's a lot more rigid than its predecessor, but it doesn't feel as premium as I would expect at this price range. It does come with interchangeable terminations, so you got the 4.4, 3.5 and 2.5mm terminations, and just align the notches and connect them and you're good to go. And it looks clean and seamless, so I really like that. While the accessories provided are sufficient, I kinda was expecting a little more, especially at this price point. And coming from a Dunu unboxing experience, it did feel a little underwhelming. In terms of the design, so for the Monarch Mark III, you can get custom faceplates for $100 extra, but I got the stock faceplate instead because I think the stock faceplate looks absolutely beautiful from photos and thankfully in real life as well. There's something about the black body blending into the faceplate with the white mix halfway into the faceplate with a few colored specks and TIA Audio's word in silver that gives off a mysterious feel while giving away a sneak peek of the colorful character within. Kinda like Venom ooze going around your IEM. It doesn't scream for attention, but when you stop to look at it, you can't help but be mesmerized. At least I was every time I look at it. And I think you could do no wrong if you decide to save that $100 and just stick to the stock faceplate, but of course, if you want more options, there are plenty to choose from. However, there's no denying this IEM is chunky. It's beefed up, juiced up, all pumped with steroids. When I look at this thing at first glance, I was scared and intimidated, as anyone would be looking at the sheer size of this IEM. However, there are more curves and contours on the IEM, and my experience with fit is different from what I expected. Let's explore. For fit and comfort, for me personally, it actually fits my ears a lot better than the Monarch Mark II, and I've actually been able to wear the Monarch Mark III for long listening sessions. However, there are some areas where it's applying a bit of pressure, but comparing it briefly with the Mark II, I definitely would choose the Mark III for comfort, and it's probably due to the Mark III's curve and contours that is able to rest on my ears a lot better. However, I can still foresee anyone with smaller sized ears having some issues with fit and comfort. I kinda wish TIA Audio starts making customs because the size can be quite intimidating to some users. If you're able to wear the Mark II or the Fat Freak Maestro SE, then this would have similar fit experiences as them. Now, the part we've all been waiting for. What does the Monarch Mark III sound like? For bass, when that first beat drops, it's hello bass. That 2DD, which I'm guessing is solely dedicated to bringing everything it has to the bass and is doing everything it can to bring it. The bass note is deep and weighty, there's a lot of meat to the bones, there's some impact to the bass slam, there's sufficient extension to the deep end of the note, which gives the bass note a bit of reverberation, gives it that illusion of texture, yet as an overall presentation, it's still relatively controlled. It's not going to be a soul-sucking, ground-rumbling, skull-pounding like bass experience. There are plenty of IEMs that does that in the bass department. However, there's sufficient bass and a bit more to accompany the track and keep bass heads content, while still allowing the rest of the frequencies to shine through. For me personally, it's quite a satisfying experience. For mid-range, the lower frequencies are carried through to the mid-range, giving it a little bit of weight to vocals. Male vocals have that fullness, that heaviness to their voice. The overall sound presentation is forward but not too close to your ears. Vocals still have that presence and it stands in front of the background music, but the background music still isn't lost in the background. I think for me personally, the Monarch Mark III strikes a perfect balance in terms of putting the vocals in the forefront while still having the background music and bass accompany the music and not have them overwhelm or overshadow the vocals, but still making themselves heard. Typically, I get either the vocals being the absolute highlight or the background music being in the same plane as the vocals on other IEMs. But the presentation on the Monarch Mark III is really spot on in terms of priorities, at least for me personally, and I really enjoyed it. For treble is smooth, at least for me. I think I'd be able to recommend this safely to treble sensitive people because I'm not getting any harshness or piercing notes from instruments or female vocals, though personally, having a little bit more treble would be good to balance out and cut through all that bass. There's still sufficient treble, but I don't see this aspect of the sound satisfying treble heads anytime soon. And I kinda understand why Thea Audio did what they did here, and I suspect is to not eclipse the Monarch's bigger brother, which is the Thea Audio Prestige or Prestige LTD, which I've heard has a lot more treble, so if the Monarch was given any more in the treble region, there would be no purpose in having the Prestige or Prestige LTD. Trumpets, however, suffers a little from this aspect, is missing a bit of that openness, that sharp, distinct attack, that bite to their notes, and they sound a bit further away as well. For technicalities, left and right imaging is great, while it has enough to handle busy tracks. On some anime tracks, and if you've heard anime tracks, you know some can get really busy. The Monarch Mark III can sound a little bit congested since we get a lot more bass as well, and the overall presentation is on the forward side, but there's enough separation in the sound that it doesn't sound like a blob of mess. Everything mentioned earlier contributes in creating a presentation that is on the darker side, but is not veiled in any way. However, it is missing a little bit of that clarity compared to other IEMs. In terms of resolution, macro details are a breeze and the micro details can be heard within the track, like hi-hats, snares, claps. They are audible, but they're not as distinct in their presence. However, there are also bass details that are coming through now, so they're putting a tough dance in balancing each other out without overwhelming each other. So there's not only a lot of details, but also different type of details appearing in the track, but it doesn't feel like you're over analyzing the music, and the technicalities on the Monarch Mark III just takes you for a ride through the track without overwhelming you too much. In terms of power, having this many drivers does require some juice to shine. On my HiFiMan EF400, I get to about 9 to 10 o'clock on the 4.4 termination. On my Moondrop Dawn, which typically gets me to about 8 to 10 out of 100 for other multi-driver IEMs on the 4.4 termination, I'd be on about 13 for the Monarch Mark III, which may not sound like much, but every incremental number on the Moondrop Dawn makes a whole lot of difference in volume. So, in summary, I know there's a lot of questions right now. Is it better than the Monarch Mark II? How is it different from the Mark II? All of these questions will be answered in another video because this is all about the Monarch Mark III. And if you're coming into this without the history of the Mark II in your mind, then I can say that the Monarch Mark III gives you a preview of what the higher tiered IEMs sound like, but at a much lower price, especially when the Summit or Stratosphere level IEMs can reach in the thousands of dollars. As for sound, if you're looking for a smooth, engaging sound presentation that maintains a good level of detail, the Monarch Mark III does this very well and is definitely a set that I would want to keep in my collection. However, However, this is based on one man's experience and I'm curious to know yours. Do you own the Monarch Mark III? Or if you don't, will you be taking the plunge on the Monarch Mark III and adding this into your collection? Comment below, let me know, and with that all said, thank you all very much for watching. I'll be sharing my experience on the Thie Audio Monarch Mark II as well, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that video. Until the next experience, take care and happy listening.